We're back.
All right.
I hit the music button. Joe, it's October, Joe.
It is October.
It's October.
What's that mean?
I don't know. I love October, man.
I do too. Weather is nice.
It's a little cold. Up, the music's off, so that means welcome back to another episode of Dave and Joe Are Bored. October edition, episode 10. 10.
They thought it wouldn't last.
We've done this 10 times, which is more than I think I've done anything. So there you go.
All right.
Joe, how you been?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm great. Like you said, I'm loving the change of the season. I love fall weather, and yeah, life's good. Well,
let's cut to it. We're gonna talk a little bit about last weekend Cincinnati Comic Expo. But before we do, Joe, I want to share this. This is my new favorite thing.
Okay.
This is I love October. I love Halloween. I love costumes. This is a new costume at Walmart, and I love everything about this costume. And I'll tell you why. First off, it's a Michael Keaton Batman costume, but old Michael Keaton Batman costume. So, to begin with, this is a young child who says, "Hey, mom and dad, or or whatever. Hey, parental unit, I want to be old Batman." So that's awesome. Now, is he old Batman? Well, we don't really know, because this is connected to possibly two movies. One that got killed, so we'll never see it, Batgirl. And the other one, this Flash movie that comes out in June.
So the kids are clamoring for that for Halloween. Now, I do see an improvement on the original Michael Keaton design.
Oh, yeah.
And that is that the child wearing this costume would actually be able to turn his neck.
Well, honestly, there wasn't a, they didn't, I don't think they made a costume for Michael Keaton in '89 because I would have it. They made a dress up kit that was at Toys R Us that wasn't technically a Halloween costume. Oh yeah, I had it. I was in high school, still had it, because it had his grappling gun that shot darts. How can you say no?
Right.
So yeah, no, this is not the '89. This is not Batman Returns. This is specifically either Flash or Batgirl. And again, we don't know because we have to wait another. We're closer. This costume, the movie, is closer to next Halloween than it is to. Anyway, I love everything about this. Okay, next up, last weekend we were at Cincinnati Comic Expo, and Joe fought a Rancor.
I did. As you can see, I'm preparing to shove that whatever kind of bone thing that is I'm holding into its mouth, just as Luke Skywalker did in Return of the Jedi. Still the greatest Star Wars movie. You
didn't get to ride it, though.
I did not ride it, but look how confident Polly looks at my ability to defeat this Rancor.
Well, that's good. We all want somebody that looks at us the same way Polly looks at you fighting a Rancor.
Absolutely.
And you got to meet the Shat?
I did, yeah. This was pretty cool. So I decided to bite the bullet and wait in line and pay the money to meet William Shatner. And I thought about, I really didn't have anything. I don't have a lot of Star Trek stuff, so I didn't really think I had much better to have him sign than just an 8x10. I thought this was a really good picture of him, so I was very pleased to get that. Yeah,
he looks like he's worried about the 7-10 split.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh man, if he doesn't get this spare, then the game is shot.
He kind of has that glowing light about him, though, that Kirk would regularly have in the 60s episodes. So.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. All right. Well, let's see. While you were nice enough to watch my booth while I had a panel, this is me, and this is how they treat me at panels. That's me, and then Guy Gilchrist and my buddy Anthony Marquez, the head of the Joe Kubert School. Anthony is awesome, and Guy is insane, and maybe we can get them on this Dog and Pony show at some point. But yes, that's Rodney Dangerfield of of cartooning or whatever. That was a panel we sketched for people. I don't know. Anyway, they gave me a big old booth that you got to be captain of.
Yeah, you had a great setup there.
Oh, they spoiled me rotten. I got to do some artwork for badges because Batman people were there. I did a print. This is people were getting the print signed. Batman wasn't feeling good. Penguin canceled for next year. So Catwoman and Poison Ivy and Riddler and Robin were there. And then Two-Face, he wasn't there, but he signed them beforehand. And so people were getting those signed, which was fun. I have 2 left. They gave me not all signed, but I have 2 left signed by Richard Mole. That's right, Bull from Night Court. I have 2 prints signed only by Bull from Night Court. And let me tell you, I was a huge Night Court fan, so that's weird.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I got, because they were giving out some coupons to the convention store, I got a free signed photo of the Spirit, which I actually have on VHS, recorded from Detroit television.
Now, when was that show from?
That was a made-for-TV movie with Sam Jones and Nana Visitor from Deep Space Nine. And Sam, of course, being Flash Gordon and not much else. So yeah, that was the late 80s, and it was a made-for-TV movie, and yeah, that was it.
I've never seen that.
Oh, I'll loan you the VHS.
you would have to loan me a VHS player.
I'll loan you a VCR. Yeah. And I did some artwork. I had some pre-done commissions. That was a Ripley from Aliens, looking concerned, like maybe she's not going to make the 7-10 split. And then the Scarecrow, Batman villain, and then somebody at the show had me draw the Bride. That's and great. Then as I drew Red Skull because I had reference with me. And somebody set up beforehand in their sketchbook was that Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp from Tombstone. So that was fun. That was the Friday Night Hotel sketch. And that's from like Yamato or some Star Crew battle. Star Blazers bad guy. Who the heck knows? That's Dumbledore Patrick to go with Harry Potter SpongeBob and Voldemort Squidward.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. And this was the Fantastic Four SpongeBob. So there you go. That's the kind of fun that I get into at conventions. Oh, and I started to do remarks on prints because that's what the kids like these days.
Oh, there you go.
I take a nice picture print and then I ruin it for an extra fee. So there you go. That was my busy weekend at the Cincinnati Comic Expo. They treated us like kings. We had a great time.
Fantastic. I didn't pick up any art at the show. Just got some autographs and had a good time though, and fought a Rancor. Yeah,
I had lunch with the guy who photographed all the Star Wars action figures and the guy from Kenner who created the first batch of Star Wars figures. The photographer, we could have chatted for hours. The Kenner guy, we could have chatted for 30 seconds. He was very quiet.
Okay.
And then Sunday, I had lunch with some actor. I had no clue who he was. And then behind me was Harry Potter's girlfriend. I had no clue who she was. And then as I was leaving, I got a nod and a smile from Superman as he was going to the bathroom. That's right, Brandon Routh. I got a smile, and then right into the toilet he went, and I got all a flutter. I got the vapors.
Very nice.
I didn't even get to say hi. I got a smile and a nod, and you know, like how Superman goes into the the telephone booth to change.
Right.
That's what it was like.
So yeah, you probably never saw him come back out.
Man, you were watching the table. No, that was Sunday. I had to get back. Yeah. So that was that. So there we go. All right. And now, Joe, you ready?
I'm ready.
Every time. Have we done 10 of these? Because if so, then this makes 10 minutes of you talking about Bob Dylan.
A drop in the bucket.
Which is not that much, depending on if you like Bob Dylan. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Joe Hollon's Bob Dylan Minute. Let's go.
All right. So this week's Bob Dylan Minute, in honor of Bob Dylan's new book that is going to be released here in about a month, which is called The Philosophy of Modern Song. I have a spotlight on Bob Dylan's first book that he ever published, which is called Tarantula. So the story is, Tarantula was announced in like 1966 at the height of Bob Dylan's popularity, you know, and he's one of the most famous people in the world, and the kids all loved him and screamed and everything, that he was going to be writing a novel. And he, after a while, they announced the title of this novel was going to be Tarantula, and then years went by and nothing came out. And then it was finally in 1971, I think, just because Bob Dylan I don't think he ever really had any intentions of writing a novel. So he released this book of just stream of consciousness poetry, which is great. So I will end my minute just by reading from this book. This is
I don't know, man. That's a minute.
Ah.
But you know, I mean, I was told, I've been told by a lot of people, I didn't really let you talk much, you know, like I control this. So go ahead, Joe. Read a poem from Bob Dylan.
All right, I'll just read part of this one entitled Ape on Sunday. Zing, and they throw him through the door, and he lands in a truck. He gets out somewhere on the mobile line and says, "The war's going fine, ain't it, Paleface?" And immediately makes a friend. It's nice to have friends, ain't it? This makes a stronger tie, and both of them together, they go beat up some male secretary who works for a jockey.
Everybody must get stoned.
Yeah, so there's 100 and about 40 pages of that, if that was entertaining to anybody.
That was really something.
Yep.
God bless you. All right. Well, you know, let's get to it because it's October. It's Halloween. Let's just do a quick pick of the week, and we got some good ones because it's monster time. So I've got Monsters on the Prowl #1 from Marvel. You know, you'd think I'd look up the date, but nah. This is a fantastic one-shot from a series of one-shots Marvel was doing, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. And you got an Eric Powell cover. Art inside, you got Steve Niles' story. Duncan Fegredo. I love Duncan Fegredo. Loved him since he started in the U.S. with Kid Eternity. And here he is drawing monsters. And it's the Thing and the Beast and Giant Man and the Hulk, and they're fighting Kirby monsters. And Duncan Fegredo knows what he's doing. And boy, this is just a fantastic comic. And it's got monsters.
That looks great. I don't think I have that.
It is wonderful. And, you know, eventually they defeat the monsters. All right, Joe.
Okay. So sticking with a monstery theme, I pulled out The Creature from the Black Lagoon, published by Dark Horse Comics in 1993, I believe. And this is the script to this is credited to Steve Moncuse, who I don't believe I really have any idea who that is. But the art is by Art.
I think Steve, I want to go out on a limb and say that Steve worked on Fish Police. I don't know why, but I'm going to double check now.
So aquatic, he specializes in aquatic storylines. But the art is by Art Adams and Terry Austin. And so Art Adams, everybody loves Art Adams, of course, still does great cover work regularly every month. Marvel's putting out different variant covers and stuff with his work
Fish
on
Police.
it. Sorry? Fish Police? Got it. Nailed it. But this is a rare example of Art Adams actually doing the full interior art for a book. There's the original cover art Dave found for me to show. But it's a very faithful adaptation of the classic Universal Monsters movie, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Couple examples of what the interior art looks like. Yeah, there you go. Monster and lantern and fire and just all the things we remember from the classic movie. Here's the ending. Spoiler alert, doesn't end well for the creature, but there was a sequel movie, of course. So, you know.
Wait, hold on. I think I've got. Oh, I was hoping for the sad sound. Oh well.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
So the The creature is probably my favorite of the original Universal Monsters.
I threw in some Art Adams creature drawings.
Yeah, they're amazing, right? Everything he does is amazing.
Yeah, we're just going to sit and stare at Art Adams' drawing. Now, the last one, whoever has this, is a rat bastard. And because, man.
Yeah, that is amazing. I remember seeing that when it first popped up online. Looks like back in 2014, based on the signature there. My copy of this comic, by the way, is signed by Art Adams when I got to meet him at the Cincy Comic Con, not to be confused with the Cincinnati Comic Expo.
Oh, you had to bring it up. You had to bring up the Cincy Comic Con. Oh, that's fighting words. That's a whole story in itself, but let's just say that sadly that show didn't last.
Yeah. But I got to meet Art Adams at it in 2013.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's our pick of the week, and it's October, so we're starting off with some awesome monsters. And again, Duncan Fagredo, who went on to do fantastic work in Hellboy, and Art Adams, who just does fantastic work wherever he wants. All right, so today, this episode, we've got an old classmate buddy of mine, David White, who has just been absolutely wild watching him go over the past 7, I don't know how many years it's been since we were out of Columbus College of Art and Design. He is an illustrator, a sculptor, a digital sculptor, digital toy maker, engineer, all this stuff. It's too much stuff, but we're going to chat with him. And so what the heck? Let's bring him out. Everybody, it's wait, where's my applause button? There it is. Yay! It's David White, everyone.
Joe, thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome.
Okay, well, so what you been doing? No,
aside from getting old,
oh man. It is good to see you. We were chatting just before the show. We were talking about the good old days of just Columbus College of Art and Design would just beat you up 6 ways to Sunday with the workload.
I loved every minute of it. I'm not going to lie. It just made me stronger.
Yep.
I was there for nothing else.
We were there for it.
We were there for it.
we were workaholics. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
One of my roommates literally said one time, Dave, you're never happy unless you're miserable. He said that to me. And I'd never thought about it. And I was like, huh, guess you're right.
No, Joe, Erica has said that to me. She's known me long enough. A mutual friend of ours has said that to me as well. And so, yes. We are very similar in that, the anxiety fuels us and the workload kind of.
Dave. That's not it. I went and I met Boris Vallejo once. And what a great guy. Super, super nice guy. And my friend introduces me to him because we're at this private event. And he goes, hey, this is my friend Dave. He's obsessed with robots. And I'm like, oh, right out of the door, huh? And Boris goes, I see. You are very passionate. And I'm like, Boris, I love you. It's the passion. It's not obsession. It's not workaholic. It's like creativity and passion that's just boiling over. And I love the adrenaline rush I get from seeing things fully realized, from seeing a finished illustration. I used to make video games a long time ago, and seeing my characters walk around on the screen, I loved that. And so I think it was this passion, dedication, and creativity kind of being honed into something cool.
See, now that's where we're different, because I just do it for hoarding money.
Well, it hasn't worked out so well.
And I'm tired. I'm very, very tired. But well, speaking of the passion, we're going to start with because there is a little bit of what we have done over the past 20 plus years that's a little similar. We're going to start with some of your illustration stuff and some of the licensing stuff. Whereas I kind of fell into Nickelodeon's circle, you got to do a bunch of work for Lego and their publishing side.
I did. And
when did that start?
I don't know, remember. I think around 2003, maybe. I remember that I worked with them as a freelancer for like 9 or 10 years. And I got in there because I lived at the time, I lived in Northampton, Massachusetts. And that's the home of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as many people know. So those guys used to sit on the courthouse steps and have lunch. And I would see them and be like, I know who you are. And one day I got up the nerve, me and my friend Sean, we went over, we introduced ourselves, and they were okay dudes. And it turns out that they're actually pretty great dudes. And I still have lunch with them every week now, after all these years. And one of them was doing freelance with Lego, and they were looking for somebody to do Exoforce comics for their Lego magazine. And the guy didn't draw robots, but he knew that I did. So he said, why don't you give my friend a shot? And I was still working full-time as a video game artist. But I was like, heck yeah, I'll do that. So I went in for an interview at their Enfield, Connecticut office and got the job. So it was cool.
Well, I'm going to forward. So the comic stuff, because we got the magazine once my son was born. We would get that and see the comics in there. The comic stuff is a lot of work.
Yeah. I did everything, layouts and pencils, inks, and colors. But because it wasn't normal comics, it was like advertising. It paid well enough to actually make it worthwhile. So
was it what technique were you using back? Or were you actually inking any of it, or was it solid digital from start to finish?
All of my comics for Lego were pencil and ink traditionally. Although I did it rough first to kind of work through things, get the compositions right. But I had some. There's one in here. I'd like to show the progression. That was for a 3D book. That was really fun. So that was more simple.
I don't know if I've kind of jumbled everything up. So if you're thinking that everything's like you sent me, you're wrong, buddy.
I started out, like I said, on the Exoforce and did that for a long time. I did tons of stuff. I did agents. I did some Bionicle stuff. That was for a book, a phonics set, a 10-book phonics set. That was a lot of fun. I actually threw that piece in just for you because I know you like Batman. I heard that you do.
Heck yeah, man. A little bit. So now doing the fully rendered stuff, what are you, is it Photoshop? What are you using for this?
Oh yeah, that was Photoshop. Yeah, I was kind of pushed into that. I like doing more graphic comic style stuff, but they kept telling me they wanted to age up the comics. So it was more about rendering and more dynamic scene work. But then the scripts would all have like 9, 10 panels, and they wanted to show the Millennium Falcon fully in every one of them, and then they would have 4-word balloons, and I was like, guys, you're killing me. So,
well, I've found that the problem sometimes comes in with them is that they do the animated shows in CGI, and then it's like with Nick, they want for covers and things, they want a rendered look that tries to mimic the CGI, which takes a good amount of time for us to do. But if it's a cover, okay. But yeah, if you want that for a full story, you're not going to get it.
No, this definitely was different. Like this has no line work; it's all just shape and color. So the interiors were line work with airbrushed art, basically digitally. But they also, Lego has a style guide that's literally that thick, and there are different ways you can draw the characters. And if it's CG, you have more freedom to bend and pose because it's the real object. It's like a mesh, and I think it's more real. So the 2D drawings are not allowed to deform them as much. Basically, I was instructed to think of them as gummy. And can you bend a gummy character like that? And then you can kind of get away with it in the 2D drawings. But there's not a lot of freedom in that. So it was hard to pose stuff. It was hard to do really strong action scenes that you can do in CG because even though they're horribly distorted and you can see a pin between their arm when they're moving, you don't really see it. It's just along the way as the image progresses. So you can't actually draw that stuff on a still frame where the kids can see it, and it sort of ruins the cleanliness of the figure.
And so Lego was, how were they to work with?
Oh, they were great. Actually, they were all really great. I mean, I would go out and they would email me the script and I would do some roughs and figure out what I needed for poses. And they would generally send me photographs or even send me whole samples. Like I would go out and get them. And that was the thing. They had their sample room, their super secret sample room where everything was that hadn't come out yet. And I would go in and I would take photographs under supervision, and I could pose stuff to match my my drawings if I needed it. And that was great. And they were very cool. They were all like skater guys and designer toy enthusiasts and stuff. So I go out there and I have a good time.
That's cool. That's neat. I guess I never would have thought of that, of having a benefit of being nearby and actually being able to go in person and see stuff.
Yeah, it was only a half hour away.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what, almost 10-year gig?
Almost 10-year gig, although the last few was almost exclusively through Scholastic, because I got into Lego and then they got me into Scholastic doing the Lego Star Wars stuff. Well, it was Exo Force and then Bionicle, and then it went to Lego Star Wars. And I did like, I don't know, 7 Star Wars books. Oof. I did one that was really fun. It was called Face Off. And that's what that Yoda fighting Darth Vader is. That was great. It's like, what if a Chewbacca fought a stormtrooper? What if Yoda fought, I don't know, Darth Maul? I can't remember. But the writing was actually really funny for a change. And the illustrations were fun to make. So that was a good one.
It's cool. And then we've got a lot of Hot Wheels stuff because, gosh darn it, you like doing the industrial design in the cars. And my dad was a car designer. I did not get any of that love from him. But boy, oh boy, you like this stuff.
I like this stuff. And boy, oh boy, can I draw a car fast. Now, I did about 22 of those books. So I think you've done a lot of SpongeBob books, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what it's like. Eventually, you're like, have I done this composition? Of course I've done this composition already. How could I not? It's a 2-page spread with text at the top or the bottom with progression from left to right and a car, 2 cars, 3 cars. There's only so many ways. You can't undo it, you know, and you're like, you can look at this and you're like, there's the gutter, right? And here's where the block of text would go. And
Yep. And are you, at this point, are you inking by hand, or is this just, are you going digital?
These, I don't do any of these anymore. Scholastic had huge layoffs, and my art director got let go, my designer got let go, and everything. So after working with them for a long time, that was it. No more.
When you were doing them, were you, what amount of this was, what was by hand, what was digital?
I would do traditional pencils and traditional inks, and then I would run the line work through Live Trace in Illustrator.
Okay.
And really clean it up. And the rest was Photoshop.
Okay. So see, I would, with the Nickelodeon stuff, I was doing, you know, pencils and tights and then digital inks. So you actually have a fairly nice stack of inked book art by this point between Lego and Hot Wheels.
And I can't do anything with it. I'm not allowed to sell the Lego stuff, and I don't know about the Hot Wheels stuff. And it's production art. It's got like, because I would scale them up.
Who says you can't sell it?
Oh, well, Lego did at one point. They're like, nope, don't do it.
Was it in a contract? Was it? Show me the paperwork.
Show you the paperwork. That's true. I've got an equally thick stack of contracts, because think about working, I'm sure you know this, working on like Star Wars at the time. I had Lego contracts. I had LucasArts contracts, or Lucasfilm, and then I had Scholastic contracts. So I would literally get a stack of contracts this thick, because they would send you 5 copies of each. So I would get this huge package in the mail for each book.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't, you know, thankfully I never had to deal with that, but we did get, you would have to do like triplicate at some point. And I'm so happy now that contracts are all online and digital, and take all of 20 seconds to sign now. Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. I always get annoyed when people say, "Oh, they told me I couldn't do anything with the art," because I'm like,
it's, you know, it's fun, and I'm sure a fan of Hot Wheels would really like it. But I would scan in my stuff, my pencil sketches, and tweak it. And you know, anytime they would have comments, I would change them, and then I would turn it into blue line and print it back out on the Bristol board and ink it. So it's like very production art, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, a lot of that stuff, you know, as the years go by, nostalgia kicks in, it starts to get a certain amount of value. And, you know, when you do the math, even if you're getting, you know, $50 a piece, you know, if you look at and you go, oh, well, shoot, you know, if that stack is turned into 10 grand, that's still 10 grand. So I wouldn't discount it as the years go by, and especially you know, given another 10 years when nostalgia really kicks in. So who knows? But here's some another example of some of your packaging work, and it's just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was with Ontel Product Corp, who does all the As Seen on TV stuff, and their art department was great. Like, I loved working with them. The only reason I stopped is because I got the new job.
It's nice stuff, and okay. So all this other stuff, that's great and all, but robots.
It isn't right there. I don't know why I like to draw that stuff. It takes forever. It makes my hands hurt. It makes my brain hurt, but I get a kick out of it. I really like it.
So, did you finally, at some point, like in 2010, I got the Cintiq that's kind of behind me, and everything went digital. Did you make the dive at some point, or are you still inking this baloney?
Yeah, hold on. I got them right here. That I can't show you, but I can show you the others. Yeah, here's the original for that.
Ah, geez, you're still inking this stuff.
Here's one.
That's great.
I do digital sometimes, but it's so slow. Like, I get too nitpicky about the details. I zoom in too much. You know, this box, this guy was digitally inked, and it took me easily twice as long as those others that are more complicated.
Ah.
So for me, traditional still works.
So now this series that you did, the robots were designed. They just had you do some packaging art, correct?
The one I just showed you, I actually did the character design and art direction for sculpting.
Oh, we're getting there, babe. We're getting there. And this is another of just some of your just drawing robots, because next up we're going to start talking about the sculpting. But this is again some of your, and then this is again traditionally hand inked, and then all the colors are in Photoshop.
Yep, and that was just for March of Robots. It's like Inktober, but for robot fanatics. So I just took the old toys and kind of put my twist on them.
It's gorgeous stuff.
Hasbro's never replied to any of my although this was official work, but this was for a video game company, so this was concept art for a Nintendo DS game, which got made, and these characters got in.
Yeah. That's neat to still be able to say, hey, yep, I did some. You know, you've got Transformers on your list of licenses to say that you worked on.
Yeah, it's legit.
That's good stuff. Okay. All right. So illustration stuff, gorgeous. And you said, yeah, you know what I like? This newfangled 3D printing.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, and you just went in head first. What year did all of this craziness start?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Around, geez, I don't know. Let me think about it. Like around 2014, maybe.
And what was your first 3D printer?
It was an Affinia brand extrusion printer that's not pictured here.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at second generation for the same brand. The original one I had was like this metal frame with an open platform, and it cost $1,700. And I had to go to my wife, and I'm like, look, I really want one of these. One of my buddies has one. He's doing cool stuff. I love toys. I want to make some stuff. I can 3D model because I used to make video games. Just, what do you think? And she's like, yeah, it's really cool. Go for it. And, you know, I did. And I made some toys, and they were okay. and people liked them, and I kept making them. And I didn't get into this. I started doing this almost full time, but I didn't do it because I really wanted to make the toys full time. I did it because I was having a big slump in my illustration work. I wasn't doing it with Lego anymore. Scholastic had collapsed, and I hadn't been able to find another big client. So I was just doing little work, and I was hurting.
And
so,
there was a point. I had a point. 2010. You know, the economy kind of went kaputs.
That was what got me right there.
And it did. The only way, because I was working at Simon and Schuster, and the only way I got saved was that Random House swooped in, and then that was it. There was no more Scholastic jobs, or Simon and Schuster kind of faded off. So I kind of sympathize. You know, these things are an odd. They do happen. When you say, okay, so just to go back to what we're looking at here, it's an Affinity series of printers.
Yeah, the
Finia. And then what program are you working in to actually sculpt and you know, engineer this stuff?
A free program called Blender. And if you see my shirt, this Mechagodzilla, when we get to the Super7 stuff, this whole toy was made in Blender. Yeah, it's free software and it's so powerful. But I threw this in, yeah, just because I made my toys. When people see them, first they think they're mass produced because they look really slick. And they're all made out of ABS plastic. And I use an acetone process to like dissolve the outside. And it makes it really smooth and shiny and candy-like. They look like 80s toys. There's where all the magic happens. That beaker is like this big around and about that tall. And I'll literally vaporize acetone in there. Big mask, you know, ventilation, gloves, the whole thing. And I dip the parts like one arm at a time down in there, and it'll dissolve it. I let it cure for a little bit, and then I flex the joints so they don't weld shut. And it just gets all glossy and smooth. It looks great.
All right. Well, speaking of which, okay, now before all that though, you're engineering, you're planning it all out, and you're sketching it all out. That's insane. Okay, so now we're talking. This is the mess. So I just want to preface this. I don't know if it's been 2 years. I think maybe 2 years ago, my son wanted a digital printer or a 3D printer or whatever. So I bought him a cheaper one, and that dang thing is a nightmare and was a pain in the ass. He still loves it, but I've had just a tiny taste of how much of a pain in the ass these things are. So I get all like, oh, just looking at this. But this is just when you're making them, this is what it looks like, huh?
4 printers running all the time. And the ones are enclosed, so they're not that loud. And, they're good. They're not like the low end ones. And the enclosure, because I use ABS, it warps, so the things have to be enclosed, and that helps it stay. So yeah, here's an example of, I did these for somebody's Kickstarter. It was a toy I already had, but I painted some deluxe series for them, and as rewards. And so these have been airbrushed and dirtied, and you can see I put grime on the tires and stuff. But yeah, I don't generally think of myself as an engineer, but I am.
Heck yeah, man. Oh, heck yeah. I mean, this is insane. And I'm
I used to go to DesignerCon, which I freaking love that show. It's out in LA, Pasadena, and now it's in Anaheim, I think. But that's what I would take, and I would sell all of it.
That's fantastic. It's so cool. As some, you know, I've spent 25 years drawing out concepts for sculpts, not robots, but just for products and stuff. And so I get envious of any artist that has the ability to actually take what they've drawn and concepted and by themselves turn it into an actual physical thing, be it a robot like you're doing, or, you know, an art toy, or just, you know, something that's, or even just to being able to do the digital sculpts. I've never was able to, I just haven't had the time to get to do that. But, oh man, this stuff is so cool. And there's DesignerCon, right?
There's DesignerCon. I have the best memories from DesignerCon because I was always grouped with a certain set of tables, there's this toy line called Glios, and it has like interchangeable pegs, and all the parts are swappable. And multiple people create toy lines for that. And so I got put with them because they're all East Coast people and we're buddies. And it was like a big party for the whole time. It was so fun.
That's so cool. And here's some close-ups of your Mechanauts series.
Yeah, not exactly original name. I like Micronauts and I like Mecha. So I'm going to call my stupid toy line Mechanauts. But
I think it's awesome, baby.
Those are 7 inches tall.
How much?
7 inches tall. And I would sell them for about $75 to $85, which was half of what I should have been selling them for. But nobody would pay it because they're like, this just looks like a toy I could buy in a store. Instead of, oh, it took 18 hours to print the parts and 2 hours to clean it up and put it together and a week and a half to sculpt everything and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, you know, when things aren't mass produced, and especially when they're made by hand, it's if somebody saw something like that was carved by wood or was a painting, you know, in their head, oh, it's a work of art, it's one of a kind. But this is deceptive to a lot of people because, you know, you see mass-produced toys that you have to go after the people that understand what this is, which is it's a piece of art.
It's a prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what DesignerCon was good for. Everyone who would come there basically had an appreciation for art or an understanding for art. Being in LA, a lot of the people worked in movies and a lot of people did similar things. So they would see it and it would be like, oh my God, how did you do this? Are you insane? I got that a lot. Are you insane?
Well, and the reason that there's a certain that phrase needs to also be placed in the context of when you were doing this. You know, nowadays, maybe you're not as insane in 2022 with resin printers or digital printers, but you're doing this 7 years ago or 5 years. I mean, you're doing this all through the progress of the technology, which was really trying to figure out what the hell it was doing and how much it was going to cost. And so you're doing this throughout the whole learning curve of the technology.
Right. That's an insightful comment. I was definitely a leader in the forefront of all that kind of 3D printing production kind of stuff. And I had some sponsorships basically from the printers, and I got some free printers here and there. People were like, here, try our stuff, you know, that kind of thing. So that was nice. And it helped because the printers would wear out or break down and I'd have to fix them and, you know, headaches for all that stuff.
Well, I was following you, you know, on social media, which, by the way, we've got here as we're talking. We'll do a little plug there. It's Mechazone on Twitter and Mechazone on Instagram, folks.
Mostly Instagram.
Instagram's fun. It's a fun place for art.
If they just would stop messing it up.
Yes. But anyway, but I got to see, you know, kind of
progression.
Yeah, the progression and when the technology would kind of, you know, fart out on you, or, you know, and honestly, just my little the respect for it all. Once I got the cheap whatever I got for my son and watched just dealing with the bed not being flat and things getting ruined, and of course dealing with frustration through a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, you know, it was just like, oh, this can go south pretty quickly sometimes if you don't know what you're doing. And obviously I was like, dude, I can't learn this. So you're on your own. And, you know, so yeah, my hats off to you. But, you know, so that's some of your own stuff. But this is what we were talking about before. This was a client that you did the sculpting as well, the design work?
No, this is 52 Toys. And they met me. Well, they followed me on Instagram. And then they came out to DesignerCon. And they're like, we want to work with you sometime. I'm like, okay. People say that all the time. Sure enough, they followed through. And they hired me to do the box art. And then once they were familiar with me, they asked me to do some character design, and that was this guy. It was actually, I have two. different lines. I have this guy, where's the camera, who's about 7 or 8 inches tall, and he transforms into a cube.
I'll show this guy.
Yeah, all of
the cube guy. Okay, yep, we've got that guy. Let's see where that guy is. So it's
held up earlier. So we did this guy because they have these.
There he is.
Cube, beast cubes and beast boxes, and this kind of goes in that line. So we did this. I did the design. Somebody else did the modeling, and I did all the art direction for it, basically. And we came out with this version. And then they wanted to launch a new line, which isn't out yet. It's 3.75 tall. So you can see the different in scale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So these guys don't transform. Maybe I should hold up this guy because we did the same character just with a slightly different aesthetic. Because this guy had to be a cube, so he gets a little funky. But we did this guy, and again, I did new character designs, color designs, and art direction. But the sculpting was all done in China through their people. Did a fantastic job. So this comes out this quarter, I think, hopefully by end of year. And I got to do the card art, which is what you see there. I think I have those. So the cards kind of go together and use the art.
And where are their toys sold through or at?
Online, Big Bad Toy Store is probably your number one place to get them. Yeah. In China and Taiwan, in Singapore, they have pop-up shops, and because they do a lot of animals, they'll go to zoos, and they'll have pop-up shops in there where you can buy the different animals that are sort of represented by the cubes. So it's been fun. But these guys are great. They really did a fantastic job. And I'm a big fan of tokusatsu aesthetics, like the Kamen Rider kind of stuff in Japan for the TV shows. I don't like the shows. They're a little too dorky for me, but I love the designs. So we went with that. My art direction on this was Kirby and tokusatsu, right? So I did so many designs, and every time I would do one, they're like, oh, that head looks like the bad guy from this show, and oh, that chest looks like this guy from that show, and it was really frustrating. But eventually we got something that we thought matched their goal and was original. And
that is cool. Oh, man. All right. Well, okay, let's take a look now. We're going to start off with some of the stuff that I'm kind of jealous with. You're sculpting from kind of other people's stuff because I don't know how to sculpt. Don't know if I could figure it out, but maybe one day I will. But this was kind of a neat example of you taking another artist's designs and just kind of and being the doing the sculpt job.
Yeah, these were really, really fun. Like super fun. So you had the sketches, which I didn't do. And then I did sculpts in ZBrush, which I was actively learning when I made these. Thank goodness for YouTube, because ZBrush is like, it's stupid. It can do a few things, but the interface is so bad.
And let me ask you, if somebody like myself, who's kind of a dope, was trying to figure out how to do this, and especially if I was just wanting to do stuff for reference, if I was trying to do models that I could light and things, Blender, ZBrush, what program what program do you recommend?
I would say ZBrush.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Blender is actually Blender has sculpting tools like ZBrush now. I don't use them, but I do solid modeling and robot stuff in Blender. ZBrush is all about this kind of stuff, do organics.
Okay.
But it's just, man, the workflow doesn't make any sense. The interface doesn't make any sense. It's just you kind of have to you go through this period of frustration where you're like, this is stupid. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? And this wall where you can't progress anymore. And then suddenly you go, I give up. I'll just do whatever it says. And you have to let it wash over you and just accept it for its own, and then you can slowly progress by watching hundreds of hours of YouTube videos.
Yeah, and that's one of these days I'll have to. All right. Well, okay. So let's preface this. You've been working with Super7 for over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, you had done, we've gone over, you did, geez, 10 years or more with licensing and illustration. You've did, years and years of sculpting and the robots and the digital 3D printer. You were teaching also. And then you got to a point where you needed a change, or you just needed to find something that, you know, was going to actually be consistent, or was it just that the opportunity kind of came and they needed somebody and you just said, I'll give it a shot?
Well, I needed work. I was having so much trouble getting work for years. It was terrible. So that's why I started teaching. And I liked it, but, you know, you're an adjunct, you're not going to get a lot of work. So I would teach a couple of classes, and I liked it. I liked the students, I liked the school, but it wasn't enough. So I got on Upwork.com, one of those job sites. And I actually had pretty good success doing little bits of toys and patent designs and different things like that for different clients. And that's kind of where I started getting serious about the modeling. Because when I was making my toys, they're simple. They're robots. They're not that complicated. But the clients had a lot of interesting requests. So I had to really learn ZBrush and some finer things about Blender that I just never bothered to learn, because I was kind of balancing between illustration and modeling. So I just kind of went all in on the modeling. And I was like, okay, illustration, no work. I'll just drop it for now. And over the course of about a year of doing that, I really learned ZBrush. And the whole time over years, as you saw, I was going to DesignerCon. And it turns out one of my followers is a designer of toys and has worked for some pretty big companies. And he got in at Super7, and he messaged me one day. He's like, hey, we have this project, you know, and would you like to work freelance for us and give it a shot? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. And it turned out it's a project that got announced recently. It was this Mechagodzilla. It's called Super Cyborg. And it's kind of like these. This is one of our products, where it's clear and it has the internal guts, and you can take off the case if I can. The insides. They're really fun. So we did that with this. Yeah, there you go. That was in the Toy Collector magazine, which I've got here behind me. And this is the only image that was shown previously. And I have awesome pictures that I can't show you because they control the media, you know.
Yeah.
But
so let me ask then, we've got some things to show here, some of your Power Ranger stuff. What order were you working on these things? Did the Mechagodzilla happen to be just take the longest or take a while to release, or were the Power Ranger stuff some of your freelance, like, I guess the question is, how much stuff have you done that no one has seen because all of this takes forever?
Nothing for them is out yet.
Okay.
And this was started in February of 2021. And I was trying to figure out how much to charge. So I called up one of my friends who works on sculpts. And it turns out he had just gotten a job with Four Horsemen Studios, who does their own cool stuff, and also works for Super7. And he's like, oh, you're looking for work? I'll hire you. And I'm like, I haven't been able to get work. And then suddenly it's just like, right, here it is. And they all knew me from DesignerCon. They're like, yeah, we've seen your stuff. We've talked to you. We know how hard you work. We'll totally hire you. And so I got that Goldar for Power Rangers through Four Horsemen for Super7 at literally the exact same time as I got the Mechagodzilla for Super7 through Super7. So I was doing those simultaneously.
That's awesome. And of course, I mean, I'm a DC and I'm a superhero toy collector as well. So Four Horsemen, they were known for doing the DC Classics line for Mattel, and they did that for, I don't know, did that thing run for about 15 years? It just feels like that line went forever, and then that got kind of shut down. And then the DC stuff went to McFarlane. So at least Four Horsemen are now busy with, you know, with this stuff.
And they've done all of our Ninja Turtle stuff too. They're great. They're as you know, their sculpting is like top notch. So when they hired me to do this, I had never articulated a actual character like this before, like engineered the cuts and the joints and stuff. So I was really nervous about that, but I figured it out and went really well. And then they hired me to do 2 more. So, and then at the end of that, I got asked to apply full time at Super7.
So let me ask you about this kind of stuff, because I have always been the person drawing out this baloney and never the person sculpting it. When you're doing this guy, are you working with somebody like me who has drawn it, or are you just able to work with all of the provided costume character reference and you don't need a dope like me to draw this out first?
I do work with the designer who does a drawing.
Okay.
And gives their input on where they want the joints and what kind of joints and stuff. The drawings, if it's an original character that's never been done, then absolutely, I need those drawings from you. If it's this guy, your drawing is useless to me. And they gave me some reference, but it was not good, because they're like, here's the front view in 320p resolution, and here's like a blurry picture of the side. And I'm like, well, what's the bottom of his foot look like?
Yes.
The armpit look like, you know?
And I try to do that when I do my concept art. A lot of times it comes with files of what I used to try to draw it, so that the sculptor doesn't have to go, you know, find this all himself. Because when I've worked on characters, I'm doing the same thing. You know, Nightmare Before Christmas characters going, well, what does the devil's legs look like? You know, I got to draw it. We got to figure this out at some point.
Yeah, there's got to be a frame somewhere where I can see his ankles, for crying out loud. What do they look like? But on this guy, I went back and just threw all that out. And they don't know this. But then I went and I did a deep dive, and I got all my own reference. And since I had something to prove with this figure, I really went all in. I spent so much time on it. I think it was like 100 hours total, because they have revisions and.
Oh yeah,
yeah, King Sphinx.
How long does I guess there's 2 questions with a figure. How long do you tend to, on average, spend with your hours, and then how long does it take from of your process with the client involved? So I would assume there are a lot of plates spinning. You know, when we used to do books, or when I do books, a lot of books are I always kind of say that they're all just spinning plates, and you're just kind of keep them going. So a figure on your end is kind of coming back and going and going and coming back over 6 months, over.
No, usually around 3 was what it ended up being, or 2 sometimes. But now working in-house, it's a lot less. I mean, ideally, if they would just let you do your thing, it'd be about 3 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with the books. It's like, if you would just let me go away and come back with a book.
I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, it's been 20 years. I've only done 200 of these things. If you just let me do it, we could get this thing wrapped up in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, whatever. It's so true. But we have in-house now, we have design reviews, we have meetings, and it goes before the big boss, and then we do tweaks. But that's just one part of it, because there's the whole, they get the license, then they have to define what the product line is going to be, what's going to be in it, and it has to go back to the licensor, and they do the concept drawings, and that goes back to the licensor, and then it gets to me, and then it goes back to licensor, and then I engineer it by doing all the joints and stuff. And my level of engineering is like getting it halfway, because then it goes to the factory, and the factory does all the actual production engineering, where they make it injection moldable for lack of better words. And sometimes that'll come back and I'll have to do tweaks to their tweaks, and then it'll go back and forth a few times. And then they make the molds and they do test shots. You know, it's like a year after I'm done before there's a product.
Yeah, which is kind of similar. Our last show, we had my buddy Joe Viego on, who, you know, was with the Hamilton Collection and the Bradford Exchange, and it's, you know, that's the side of it that I never have to deal with, other than, you know, hopefully somebody tells me when I'm drawing out concepts if, you know, something's really not going to work. But again, I'm not doing action figures. I've never gotten to do action figures. It's always just been sculpted kind of statue collectibles. So I kind of have an idea if something's not going to break, or if a client says, hey, this is low end, so things need to be kind of clumped together, or yeah. But oftentimes I'm like, somebody else will figure it out.
No, I'm that guy, you jerk.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have to deal with that before either. And I was like, I think this will work. And, you know, I was in Mr. Hazelrig at CC80's dimensional illustration class, and I know how molds work and I know what undercuts are. And that was all really great preparation for my thinking of this. So I knew generally how stuff worked. But we work in different materials. You're used to resin, polystone, or whatever that stuff is. We work in ABS, PVC, and POM. And then we do some soft goods where things will have real capes, that kind of stuff. So those all have different hardnesses, and some of them have a little wiggle room for what you can do as far as getting it out of the mold. Like PVC, when it's hot, it's still really flexible. Flexible, so you can have some slight bends and undercuts, and it'll still pop out. But we do our torsos in ABS, so they have to draft front to back really clean. So when you're sculpting, you have to keep all of that in mind.
Oh, man. It's a lot. And how much of that do you see the concept people having any clue, like the people drawing it out? Does anybody drawing that out have any clue or any knowledge of that thinking as they're roughing it out? Or are they really, because this is licensing stuff, are they really just trying to get everything translated for the licensor to approve, getting the character on model, and then kind of just, again, pushing the problem onto you?
Our designers all know those things.
Okay.
Eligible, they're competent people, but they have to do exactly what you said. They have to meet the licensor's goals, making it look like the thing. So even though they understand those things and they might have it in their mind, they still have to portray the character as it is.
Yeah.
And I have to figure it out. But I don't do it alone. I can go to them and consult. I can go to our art director and consult. You know, it's a team kind of thing. So if there's something I'm not sure how to do, I'm like, what material should I use? Should this be a 2-part piece, or should I try to do it in 1 part of PVC, a soft PVC, what durometer? Like, you know, we can all work that out together.
Oh, man. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. And then, of course, you know, like from a collector standpoint, nothing's more irritating. Mattel would often, because of the different plastics, the colors would be different and they wouldn't match up. And you would have a figure where the legs would be a pant leg and the colors wouldn't match because of the different plastics.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that's out of my control. That goes into manufacturing. Oh yeah, these guys were really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what you can't see from this is his underwear will be low durometer PVC, so they'll be flexible. So it looks like his legs might not move much, but they actually will be able to go in pretty good poses. It'd be very fun. Those tubes will all be soft.
Oh man. And yeah, I've honestly, man, I've tried to be so good with buying. I'm kind of a recovering toy addict, so I have not been able to get any of their Super7's kind of $50 ultimate collection line. I've gotten some of their reaction figures, but I haven't been able to see any of their higher end stuff. But boy, it looks fantastic. And I have seen, I mean, I haven't gotten it, but I have seen their, you know, their Super Cyborg line. that they did
You're
transform.
gonna love this one. It's really good. It's awesome. It's so awesome.
Are they doing a Super Cyborg Jet Jaguar? Can you at least tell me that?
We have the Toho license. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff.
Well, okay. Well, you call me when. No, just kidding. Man, I tell you, geez, Louise, I think it's just awesome. And so this is full time. You're able to work from home.
Yep, I'm at home all the time. They're in San Francisco.
But it is now your full-time gig is working for them.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so now, because that's intriguing to somebody like myself who has always just done the freelancing. Is there a timesheet?
No, I'm salaried.
Okay.
You know, because we have people all over the country, like all over. We have sort of a core hours we have meetings and stuff. So, like, I work from like 9 to 6, pretty much.
Which I guess is kind of similar for just about everyone over the past couple of years has been dealing with this. But for me, it's always so foreign because it's been almost 25 years of freelancing. The whole idea of, wait, you can be home and an employee?
Yeah, the loss of freedom for having to be around when I have those core hours was a little hard because after 15 years of being a freelancer, I was used to like, whatever I want to do is what I'm going to do. Right? Whenever I want to do it, whatever. But I was always pretty disciplined and worked normal work hours anyway. Kind of keep your sanity that way. So
and are they out in California?
Yeah, they're in San Francisco.
Because I've been to the store. I think I'd been to their store in the ages ago in the olden times, because I had friends that were out in San Francisco. So it's they've been doing cool stuff. I was kind of bragging. Here's my copy of the first Super7 magazine from 20 years ago. I have a bootleg Tron shirt that they made like 4 years ago. And it's just crazy. It's so cool. You've gotten to work with them, and then my friend Shane, who we've had on the show, just did some packaging art for Nightmare Before Christmas, their deluxe figures. And so now I'm just bitter and jealous. So one day,
yeah.
One day when I get the portfolio colored up, and I'll see if maybe I can, whoever's doing like their some of their card art, I'll see if maybe I can get them to mysteriously fall ill.
Whoops. I know, right? Hey, you're at a convention and you see the guy and you're just like, oops. Right?
I don't know. I mean, but hey, I can draw Bruce Campbell from, for your next toy line. Sure. So, well, speaking of sketches and stuff, we always like to show off what we all like to do in our, if any, free time or commissions or sketch art. And you, of course, you like to draw your robots.
It's my happy place. Yeah. This is the cover for my most recent sketchbook. Totally unlicensed, unauthorized Robotech drawings.
They all are. Heck yeah, man. Yeah. And what size are these bad boys?
These are whatever this is.
9 by 12?
It's 10 by 7 inches. Got a whole book full of them here.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, if you're gonna do that, let's get you larger. And did I hit the wrong button and get you? Okay. Show the dang thing.
Oh
man.
I did a series of GoBots.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, sketchbook for those. So Scooter.
You have a hard time selling these, don't you? Like parting with these, don't you?
I don't sell my sketchbook stuff now.
Oh, come on.
I had somebody offer to buy the whole book recently after I did the Robotech stuff. But
see, this is the sort of thing that thankfully I've turned into commissions that kind of fill gaps between publishing stuff. And, you're talking about things kind of slowing down. This has been my slowdown year where everything just kind of went and crickets. This is my crickets year. So when I see stuff like this, I'm so used to, I guess, monetizing it that I almost kind of view it as a challenge. Like, okay, I've done 40 of these. How many will I die with, and how long will it take for me to sell them all?
Yeah. Well,
but
I used to work for Catalyst Game Labs doing BattleTech stuff, and it's like a tabletop miniatures game. And I used to do commissions for that, so I know what the commission thing is like. But since I have a full-time job now, I don't really have to. So this is
what are you doing your black inks with? What pen are you using?
I'm using a Micron PN, which is not a super fine point nib. It's a little flexible. And then I use a Pilot brush pen from Japan to do the blacks, the spotting, and the flourishes here and there.
And the Copics, don't mess it. Don't blur them. Don't screw with the black.
Nope.
That's awesome.
Do for some reason, but the alcohol doesn't. So like the one I just did last night was a Battle Beast, and I did the basic outline with the Micron. Then I watercolored it. Then I went back over with the brush pen as a last pass.
The white, and what are you using for your white paint?
Acrylic wash.
Interesting. I've been using the Posca white acrylic pens.
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
And but I tell you, it's so much fun when I do mine. It's half Copics and then half color pencil, black and white. And the white, I mean, it's where everything starts to come alive, and you start going, "Oh, thank God!" And
my experience, you're like, I guess it's okay, and then yeah.
So you get, and I love seeing yours too, and I love when you do the process, because I see the same thing in yours, where you know, when they're before the white, you go, "Hey, that's cool," and then after the white, you go, "Oh, now we're talking."
Mad. I'm like, oh, I just made a sketch, and people are like, that's not a sketch. Who are you trying to kid? It's somewhere between a sketch and final art, I guess, because I can do better, but it's certainly not just a rough, you know.
Sure, you could blow it up. You could spend, you know, a gazillion hours noodling the heck out of this. Now, I always got to mention this because we've talked before how much I love the Supermobile, and I love your little GoBot robot Supermobile. I
didn't know if anyone would get it, but so many people were like, "Oh, I had that."
Oh, heck yeah! You did a Hot Wheels car too. That was awesome. That I saw. So, and occasionally you've got your books available on your website store.
Yep, they're up there now. I think I have like 5 of those GoBot books left.
And I did like your Tron Sark mech. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Years ago. That, oh man. And then
hefty. There's like 100 pages in that. It's full of random stuff.
And yours are, and this was the GoBots one, which was awesome. That had your little series of. And so now you still have all the originals of all these.
Yeah, it's all in that book I just held up.
Oh man, you're crazy. You're talking crazy.
Just money sitting in the book, Dave. Why don't
money sitting in the book? You fool! You fool! Join us at comic conventions.
I don't do well at comic conventions. Nobody cares.
I tell you, you got to be at the right convention, and you also have to have patience. Andy Bennett and I found that you can't just show up and be the belle of the ball. You know, you go, oh, if I show up a first time, are they going to go, ooh, who's the new person? And you go, not really. And then the second thing is that you have to, you know, you got to kind of court the art collectors, and they're in Facebook groups and things, and you have to go after them. And that takes a little bit of work and finessing, but once you kind of set the thirst trap for a couple of them, they are all very keeping up with the Joneses sometimes, especially if they see your pricing is attractive, and so they kind of go, oh, Joe got a really cool sketch of this for, you know, $100, and that should be $200. Oh, you know, and they'll pounce. So you have to kind of, you know, you kind of got to show up, and you kind of have to start maybe at your real bottom price, and then you build.
Up to me like, hey, will you draw my original Anthro character with, you know, this leather whip? And I'm just like, what?
No, you don't, and you just don't, you know. And that's the thing is that you just say, no, man, this is what I do, and I don't do that. You know, hey, I'm offering this. If you want that, I'll do that. And people say, oh, will you do this? And you go, no, I do that. You know, you just kind of stay firm at it, and you know, and that is what it is. You know, I do the 9x12 portraits. I know how long they tend to take. I know what to charge, and then people will say, could you do an 11x17 full figure of so and so? And I kind of go, nah, you know, because I don't really know. Even then, even if I could, at this point, I don't know what to charge. You know, I don't know how long it'll take, and you're. Unlike having a plumber work at the house, I'm not allowed to say, I'm done, it's going to be $800. You know, they want to know up front. So you just got to keep it to, you know, what your offer is, and there you go. But I tell you, 99% of the art collectors they're lovely. You know, they can get a little wacky from time to time, but really not. They're most of them are great. So it's not so bad. But yeah, you just gotta be able to say no to the things that you just go, nah.
Yeah. Sounds kind of like the toy scene, because I was doing those toys for a long time, and people would want custom colorways, or some people would even want to pay extra to have me make custom parts to do different kinds of characters. Sometimes I would say yes, sometimes I would say no, but yeah, I stuck to my guns on what I did. Pretty much.
Man, that is so awesome. Well, it's been wonderful to see you, and I can't wait.
A single question.
Oh yeah, hey Joe, you got any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, now we go. Now we're talking.
All right. This character here, right in the middle, with like the teal color chest plate thing. What's that character's name?
The Assassin.
The Assassin. All right. What's the
yeah? I just made that for 5 Points Fest in June in Brooklyn, and I only made those 3.
What's the significance of the symbol on his face?
It's tech stuff, dude.
Okay. See, that stood out to me because I thought that looks like a part of a DNA molecule.
Right. Yeah, it looks like that kind of thing. But I made I'm doing character design, so I make like 20 different head sketches, and 19 of them are really bad, and one of them is that one. And I'm like, hey, that's it. I'll use that one.
Okay, thought that was cool.
I keep a library of parts. You know, I'll make a chest that I like, and I'll make a head that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to add a little accent to make it memorable. That's not even a word, but memorable.
It is now.
It is now, right? It's in the dictionary. And I just added it as a flourish to kind of tie the whole aesthetic together.
All right, cool. That's my only question.
Oh,
there you go. Oh, dang nabbit. Oh, well, sir, I look forward to seeing the trouble you get into with Super7.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't think I said anything inappropriate.
No. I meant just the fun. Trouble equals fun. Did Super7? They just get bought by Funko?
No. Oh my God.
Who got bought by Funko?
Who was it? Was it Mondo?
Yes, it was Mondo. Thank you, because Mondo tried to dip their toe into toys, and who knows how that's gone with them trying to do larger figures. It was kind of like, really, you're going to do that? But then that's who Funko bought. I didn't think it was Super7.
No. Thankfully, it's still independent. I have review meetings every Thursday with the big boss, and he's able to express his opinion and keep us on track. So
that is fantastic. Well, congratulations with it, man. That is it's been a long so we finished in 95 with art school, right? So we've been doing this now for 27 years.
Yep. I don't know. You know, it's been ups and downs and goods and bads, and right now it's good. So I'll take it.
Well, it's just, I think it's cool. I have been, for better or for worse, for me, I feel like the past 20 plus years have been very much just all the same. It's been, you know, the clients I've had have kind of been the same, and it's been the books and some of the products and, you know, occasionally a zombie game, and there we go. So it's really kind of fascinating and absolutely interesting, and on my end, because I don't have to go through it, very exciting to see what you've done, from video games to the licensing and the children's books to, you know, the packaging and the products and your own stuff and the sculpting now. I mean, you keep on adding stuff to your resume, and it's just wild because, you know, it doesn't, you know, now that you're doing the figure sculpting, it doesn't like suddenly you've lost your drawing skills. So you've just keep on adding more and more to it to become basically more of a threat, and you should be stopped.
I must be stopped. But dude, that's, I mean, it's amazing what you can do with art, because how many other careers can you so wildly shift gears? Because it's all the same skill set. It's observation, critical thinking, right? Those key elements of art, and you just apply them to different media.
Well, yeah, and I think that the critical thinking from my end and from a business standpoint is also, you know, constantly looking at efficiency, constantly looking at ways of, you know, tweaking and beating times, you know, and that for me kind of helps with the repetitiveness, is for what I do, is just always kind of keeping an eye on it, like, well, if I do it this way, or if I do that, does that shave off a little bit? And, you know, just a little bit of that. But I'm kind of doing the same stuff, you know, over and over again, maybe just switching up techniques. So one of these days I'm gonna have to try the sculpting.
Right? How's your body holding up, for lack of better words? Because I went through phases where my neck would hurt really bad, or now these two fingers go numb if I draw too much.
So currently, last year I blew out the drawing arm, caused something that screwed up my shoulder.
Oh, this one's partially frozen right now.
Yeah.
So now
I had a very, very busy couple of years during the pandemic. This is the year where everything stopped. I think due to maybe some supply issues, maybe inflation. It all kind of fell apart this year, but previously it was crazy. And so my drawing arm basically said, no, you can't work as much as you want anymore. So the wrist tends to get a little sore, and then I have to watch the nerve goings on with my arm. And then this finger is for some reason got something wrong, but has nothing to do with drawing. So who knows?
Yeah, you're right-handed, huh?
I'm left-handed. It's just we're flipped because of.
Throw some sympathy your way, but no, you got it good.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you're right. You know, we're hitting to that point now where we can't just you can't sit on the floor for longer than 15 minutes, and you can't do 10-hour days, you know, every single day or longer days. You just can't anymore. Which, when you're self-employed, kind of hurts. Because you like to think of yourself as, well, if I want to, gosh darn it, I'm gonna. Yeah. And now
minimum 10-hour days every day, like 6 days a week.
You know, you have to learn to kind of take breaks or watch your positioning, and you know,
the desks you can reposition and raise, and that helped a lot.
Yeah. All right, Daddy. Well, we're going to keep in touch, and hopefully we'll check back in with you when you can start. When things start coming out, and you know, you can say, "Oh yeah, I did that one and that one and that one."
Yeah, that Mechazone Godzilla is coming soon, so
that's awesome. Well, once again, it's been awesome to see you, Dave. And if anybody's watching, like we said before, you got to follow David White Mechazone on Instagram.
Get a sketchbook. I've got plenty in stock.
And take out full color, none of this black and white baloney like I throw at people. No. You got full color from David's. David's give you full color. Dave's They just kind of try to skirt by with black and white.
Yeah, doesn't quite work with the robots, but that's cool. Thanks for the
Well, thanks again. We're gonna talk with you soon, man. Thanks.
All right, take care, guys.
Nice to meet you, David.
Oh man, I'm so jealous.
Another good episode.
I'm so jealous. Hey, and I probably could have kept Dave on here, but I got Joe Viego sent me a monster clock.
I saw that sitting there in the background. That's great.
And so I'm gonna turn. God, you freaking come on! Where's the light switch? Oh, it lights a little. But you know, we're talking about all of the things that sculptors don't have to deal with. And let me just kind of take over here for a second. And so, like, you know, from the front, that's kind of what I drew. But as you turn it, you see all the economy of having to turn this into an affordable piece, and how everything's kind of lumped and skinnier, and you know how Dracula and they're all kind of touching everything. And I don't tend to do turnarounds. So like when I do this, I draw that and I let it be the problem of everybody else. I don't draw this. I don't draw this unless they want me to. I don't draw that. And so it is fascinating to see these things turn into, turn into three-dimensional pieces.
That's great.
That is not up yet on the Hamilton's website, but the hearses are in and they're up for order. And I got these as well. I had a couple of them last time, but this is my favorite. This is the Dracula one. This is the first that you get, and I think that's maybe Vampire Dracula Matt, which Joe, you know Matt. There is a Vampire Gina, and on the back, Vampire Gina is in the window. So yeah, these are available on Bradford Exchange and the Hamilton Collection. They should be shipping soon, but there's a set of 4 of these right now. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, and the Wolfman. The Mummy one, I love the decals on the Mummy. My little one-eyed Mummy. He's goofy. So yeah, happy Halloween. And Dave Crud. Good old Dave Crud. Okay. It is time. Once again, Bluto's telling us goodbye forever. Maybe we'll be back next week. Should we be back next week, Joe?
I think I could do next week.
Well, we'll try to be back next week. I don't know. We'll just talk to each other.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, I'll be at the Motor City Comic Con with our buddy Andy Bennett. There's going to be some cool guests. I'm looking forward to meeting Glenn Fabry, who was the cover artist on The Preacher and John Constantine Hellblazer. He is a fantastic British artist. And Mitch Gerrards would be there. And then here in Columbus, December 2nd and 4th, be a guest at GalaxyCon. Joe, are you going to come up to GalaxyCon?
Yeah, I'm planning to come to GalaxyCon, yes.
Okay. Well, Dave and Joe will be at GalaxyCon, hopefully. So there we go. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Once
Great
again,
times.
I'm Dave Aikins, and
Joe Hollon.
And this Dave and Joe are bored. And let's see, what do we got to close out with? We got a classic. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Follow us on YouTube.